We are currently experiencing one of the most uncertain, unpredictable, and most unprecedented times in our history. Most of us have not experienced something like what we are experiencing today. The COVID pandemic presents not only a massive crisis in health, but also in the economy. We are experiencing a situation where many businesses have closed, jobs have been lost, and the economy is generally going down and slowing down. You and I might be asking ourselves, what can we do amidst all this? That's why I would like to share with you about becoming a person of value. Because I believe in a situation where 4.4 million jobs have already been lost in Africa alone, you and I can do something to safeguard our position, swim against the tide, and come out even stronger. So this morning I would like to share with you about how you can become a better version of yourself. How can you become a person of value? To begin with, why is it important? Why is it important for us to think about becoming valuable people? Myles Munroe made a very profound statement when he said, "To become successful, don't seek success. Rather, seek to become a person of value." What do I mean by value? According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, value is described as something of relative worth, relative importance, something of great utility. That's what you and I should aspire to be. So the first thing about value is that value determines how much you earn. When we talk about earning, many people say, I want to make more money. Rather than think about how you can make more money, it is better to think about how can you add more value. Because the income you earn is related to the value you bring to the marketplace or to your organization. In an organization, you'll find that the person at the hierarchy is the CEO or the managing director. Most likely, that is the person who is earning more because he brings so much value in terms of offering leadership, guidance, and inspiring the organization to achieve its mandate. In the same way, if you're going to increase on your earning, if you're going to increase your income in a time such as this, think about how you can bring more value to the organization. Bringing in an example in sports, I looked up a statistic that indicated that Lionel Messi, the footballer from Barcelona, earns approximately $646,000 per week. Now let's bring that into perspective. I have a ball here, and this is all Lionel Messi does. This is a piece of rubber ball. This simple piece of a round rubber ball has made somebody begin to earn an amount of money that some people will never earn in a lifetime. That is simply because of the value that he brings to the club, but also to the country, because Spain is the second most visited country in the world. And many of the people that visit Spain go to watch football, among other things. So the first thing we see is that your value determines your income. But the second thing is that value determines the price of your product or your service. When it comes to buying products or taking on services, people do not buy a product because of the price. No. People buy products because of the value. In fact, Brian Tracy, a sales guru and consultant, says the more you focus on value, the less price becomes important. If you're looking for a petrol station to go and fuel your vehicle, you will not look for the cheapest petrol station. You will not look for one which has got the cheapest services. You will look for one with fuel that you trust. That when you fuel your car, it will clean up your engine and help you to perhaps save on distance. So it is going to come back to how much value your product or your service provides that will determine the price of that product or that service. The third thing about becoming a person of value. Why is it important for us to think about becoming valuable? Value will impact your association, because when you become a person of value, you attract more valuable people. In fact, King Solomon puts it better when he said, when you walk with the wise, you become wise. He even made it better when he said, do you see a man skilled in his work? He will serve before kings. He will not serve before obscure men. That simply says that when you add more value to yourself, you will sit at the table of greatness, because that is the kind of reputation, that is the kind of association you begin to bring. And remember, your network determines your net worth. And lastly, on why value is important, value is very profound, because value will help you to achieve your goals much faster. When you add value to yourself, you find that you achieve more success within your field. You have an opportunity to generate, first of all, referrals. You have an opportunity to get repeat business, and you have an opportunity to be retained. Let me say something about those three. Referrals simply mean you have a satisfied client. Someone has seen that you bring so much value to them, and they are happy to recommend you to another person. I run a business where many of the clients I get are referrals from my satisfied customers. They would not do that for me if they did not find me valuable. The other thing we've talked about is that it gives you an opportunity to generate repeat business. Recently, we did a training consultancy for our client. In 2019, they had an annual convention. We facilitated that training. Because of the work that we did, they invited us again at the beginning of this year to offer the same service. And they have already invited us next year. Now, that can only happen if they find you resourceful, if they find you valuable. So if you're going to build bigger business, if you're going to generate more revenue, think about becoming a person of value. Moving on now. What determines the value that you add? I would like to recommend three things. The first one is your ability to do what you do well. Let me ask you, how good are you at what you do? Are you an expert? Are you an authority? Are you the go-to person in your field? If they come looking for the most resourceful person in your organization, would they look for you? I would like to challenge you to think about how well you can do better at what you are already doing. A few things you can consider. One, find your lane. This is what I mean. Find something that you can dedicate yourself and focus on it. Don't do this today, you do this tomorrow, and then next year you're doing something else. No, find something that resonates with you. Find something that resonates with your personality, with your competence, and with your skills. And don't compare yourself to other people. I like to say this, don't be a clumsy imitation of other people. Otherwise, you will become a photocopy of other people's mediocrity. So find your true self, be authentic, and be yourself. Then, dedicate yourself to excellence. And this takes time and practice. So refine your talent and sharpen your skills. According to Malcolm Gladwell, the author of the Outliers, in the 10,000 rule, he says it takes 10,000 hours for you to become an expert. Now, that does not mean only reporting to work at 9 and leaving at 5. Then you count the time in between. No. How much of your productive time are you spending at work? I would like to encourage you, work all the time you work. Many people go to work for 8 hours or 9 hours, but you'll find that the most productive time is maybe about 2 hours. The rest of the time, idle chit-chat, conversations, looking up things that really do not count so much to your key performance indicators on your job. So I would like to challenge you, become a better value of yourself by increasing on the productivity that you bring to your job. Moving on, the second thing that can enable you to pick, that determines the value that you bring to the organization, is demand for what you do. The higher the demand for your service, the higher your value. This is what I mean. Think about someone who built a huge and successful business back in the day, dealing in tapes like this. I found trouble finding one just to show you for this particular session because they are no longer available. So no matter how good you were back then, how relevant are you? Because the person who did great things back in the 90s with such products, today they are no longer relevant. So as we think about demand, think about the season, because that is what determines demand. Demand is determined by seasons, times, and conditions. The current crisis has brought to the surface the need for us to embrace the digital era. So whatever you're doing, ask yourself, are you online? Can you offer online services? Do you have a website? Can people find you on social media? Are you having meaningful and productive social media engagements? So be relevant. Keep up with the trends in your industry, because I believe every industry has got new developments that keep coming out. So as someone who is adding value to yourself, ask yourself, how am I keeping up with the trends in my industry? Because if you are not keeping up with the trends in your industry, soon or later, you're going to become irrelevant. And remember, in the 21st century, the battle of business is not between the big and the small. No. The battle will be between the fast and the slow. That's why Charles Darwin said, it is not the wisest or the strongest of the species that will survive. Rather, it is the ones most responsive to change. How responsive are you to change? Be relevant, because if you're not, you'll be flushed out of the system. Last but not least, the third determinant to the value that you bring to the marketplace is the difficulty it takes to replace you. Difficulty to replace you. How easy is it to replace you? Be so valuable that you cannot be ignored. Become the kind of person that cannot afford to be lost. How do you do that? Go an extra mile. Go beyond the call of duty. Go beyond what you're paid to do. You know, if you do more than you're paid to do, one day you'll be paid more for what you do. That's what I mean by going an extra mile. They say there is no traffic jam on the extra mile. So go an extra mile. Don't say, pay me, I will do more. No, do more and you'll be paid more. That is how it works. Because the only difference between ordinary people and extraordinary people is that small word, extra. So ask yourself, how am I going an extra mile in my work? How am I going an extra mile in my business? How am I going an extra mile in my ministry? How am I going an extra mile in whatever I am doing? Because ultimately, that is what will determine your value. In closing, I would just like to say that your impact will be determined by how much value you bring to the organization, how much value you bring to your business, and how much value you bring to your work. Because the more valuable you are, the more resourceful, the more productive, and the more successful you will be. Remember, if you want to become a person of success, don't seek success. Rather, seek to become a person of value. Thank you.